All right. This is Daniel Posney, and this is called Shifting Perspectives. And usually this is about 10 or 15 minutes, but I have a feeling that this is going to go a bit longer because this is kind of one of those touchy subjects that I've been wanting to talk about this for a while, but I've usually my wife and I have kind of kept this to ourselves and kept our own perspective about it, own ideas about it, until it starts to come to the surface like it has. So, to reiterate what this episode is about, is that I'll be addressing how to see those friends and family who don't support your decisions and your body autonomy. Have you heard this before? Yes, we have. And so, what's wrapped up into this is trying to guilt and shame you into using the tried and true, supposedly, methods of using poisons like chemotherapy and burning, like radiation and cutting, which is surgery. And so it becomes passionate for me when I dove into alternative therapies for a few years now, probably about 8 years now. And I see that there's so many amazing techniques and modalities and methods that are alternative, that are not supported by big pharma, which is the push behind regular medical or mainstream medical. So if it's not part of their system, then it's not supported, and it's been whitewashed or pushed down in some way. So if you look, there's all kinds of stories about different doctors, Dr. Hammer, Hamer, Dr. Brzezinski, and other doctors that have been promoting methods that have worked towards healing cancer and have been just rung through the ringer and through the legal system, and having their medical degrees stripped of them and all kinds of stuff. So it just kind of, if that's going on, then there must be something to look at. Same thing with the whole vaccinations and mRNA. There's something that was deeper going on with there. So I wanted to dive into that. So this is coming from my perspective as a supportive partner, and from someone that has dealt with some skin cancer in his life and has healed that by alternative means. So let's see. I work with people that have gone up to stage 4 cancer, many types of cancer, a lot of breast cancer, because I tend to do a lot of work with women, and that's the majority of cancer that I see. And also working with people addressing the prospect of what we would call premature death, and the idea of whether it's okay to go or should I stay, and those kind of looking at your own mortality. So really kind of deep things going on here in this one. I've been doing some work with one of the most advanced alternative therapy centers in Sedona that works with life-threatening illnesses, and they have all different kind of modalities that my wife Valerie has been working with since she's working through breast cancer. So in diving into this, we both have been in this field for, working with our clients to help them heal their emotional trauma. And some of those people, a large part of those people, actually have been dealing with some form of cancer in their life. So we've been in that stream for a while, and we've kind of gotten really used to the ins and outs and the emotions behind it, and then talking about the emotional piece behind where that illness is in the body. So we've got some experience there, and this is not the usual experience that normally people get into unless you're kind of in the field that we are. So we're we're not doctors, but we definitely have much more information than a lot of doctors. And I don't say that lightly, that I've met a lot of doctors that are really good at what they do, but they don't have the scope of alternative healing and techniques and the real understanding of cancer that my wife and I do. So we're just everyday people, but we're just kind of really in this life transformation and healing from emotion and physical all the time. So I don't normally track the cancer patients that I work with. It's just not part of my stream, but I'm looking to get more into that so we can have more of a long-term follow-up, actually, my wife and I, But in the past, it's been, I may get an hour and a half or 2 or 3 hours with someone, maybe a couple of days, and then that's it. And then we all just kind of move on. But I can't say that I've ever worked with someone that they've gotten worse. With my work and the work that other people do around me in this field, we help them look at their emotional trauma from a different angle, and it tends to go into a healing mode, into transformation mode, where they start to come out of the trauma of their past and into more of a brightening of their life. And that's all tied in with their wellness. So the work that I do, people usually feel better emotionally and physically. And a lot of times their pain goes away due to the emotional work that we do. So there's so much more that I would want to get into, but I've got limited time here, and I've got so much more I want to talk to you about. There was a time when people said the earth was flat. And it was very accepted idea and belief out there until someone said it was wrong. And that's still up for debate, I guess. But also not too long ago, within the last, 60 years or so, it was okay to smoke cigarettes, that it was okay to be pregnant and smoke. Cocaine was good for you. Heroin, morphine, and sugar was good for you. When computers came out, the thought was 64K of memory, which is like 100 or a million times less than what we find normal now. But they would say 64K memory. How is anyone going to use all that memory? That's like a one file. It's like one Word document, maybe. And then there was a time in our far past where bloodletting was a way to heal things. And that bloodletting still has some purpose in old Chinese medicine and some indigenous medicine. But that was the main thing that people did. Oh, what you need is a good bloodletting. I'm kind of joking around a little bit here, but it is kind of kooky how we stay with old ideas of health. So now the idea has been for decades that cancer can't be cured and you need our drugs. And the way to do it is to attack the cancer as this disruption, as this bad thing in your body. And you attack it with toxins that basically take the body down to, a real unhealthy state. It destroys the immune system. And then we might irradiate with radiation. And if that doesn't work, then you cut out the body part and you radiate and repeat. So that whole thing, I think about where we might be in 50, 60, 70 years from now. Hopefully we'll be in a place where we go, we did what? For how long? You cut out body parts and you put radiation on it and you filled the body with chemicals? Yeah, but that's what we knew. Well, wasn't there anything else? Well, there was, but there was this force behind pushing this agenda. So my feeling is that do not trust the science. Science is the process of questioning the current science. So that's what gets us into higher places of understanding and new technologies and new healing. So I want to tell you a little story about a fire truck. This is called the fire truck story. And the idea is that a little boy, he looks out his window and he sees that the house across the street is on fire and there's a fire truck in front of it. And then another day, somewhere down the road, he drives down the street and there's an office building fire and there's a fire truck in front of it. And he asks his mommy, why is it that these fire trucks are causing all these fires? I know it's kind of a silly story, but we've done that in some cases where we've seen what's trying to help the situation. Let's say it's a first responder on the scene, someone just got shot. And you've seen it in movies all the time where it's like the guy's right there trying to help the person, or he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Boom, he's the reason why the person got shot. And he's actually trying to help. Same thing with bacteria. Someone came up with the idea that bacteria were the problem. And, we found the solution for everything. It's because of bacteria. When in reality, bacteria are what our body is using to help heal the body. Another one is fungus. You might say that the fungus killed that animal because you see a dead animal, you see fungus on it, or maggots. Oh, it was the maggots that killed it. It's just that kind of thinking that kind of takes us on the path that things like cancer is the problem. Well, from what I understand, I'm entrenched in all kinds of research from doctors and scientists and other researchers. And what they found is that cancer is just a response of the body. And the cancer is developed in parts of the brain related to the traumas or the conflicts that affected the psyche. So some kind of trauma or some kind of conflict happens in the person's world, and then it triggers a point in the brain that's associated with that particular conflict. And wouldn't you know it, that there are places for breast cancer conflict, colon cancer conflict, liver cancer conflict, all in different parts of the brain. And this is the work of this thing called German New Medicine, headed up by Dr. Hamer, Hamer. And it's something that I'm just kind of getting hold of. So it kind of takes what I've been knowing about emotional component of illness and just kind of, wow, really takes it into a deeper place. And it's allowing my wife and I to get a deeper understanding of what's behind the breast cancer. So what we've done is we've looked at and we've listened to and watched the videos and listened to what these scientists and researchers are saying. And once you know it really makes sense that the energy and the emotional piece behind the type of cancer that my wife has. So it's kind of like you let and go, oh, wow, that's so interesting that I've had that same thing. So for instance, milk duct cancer is related to separation or torn from the breast, in quotes. And that's the kind of emotional distress or conflict that my wife has experienced back when this first started. And then the other side is, let's see, so I would call that separation on the milk duct. And then the other breast gland is losing the ability to, or it's worry. I'm sorry. It's about worrying about your mother or daughter or family or partner and that kind of thing. So breast gland is about worry, and then the milk duct is about separation. So it's just more information that kind of guides me into having more empowerment about my own body. So here's the problem. We've recently had someone, a family family that has said something like, we worry that you're making unwise choices for your health. With all the research and all the knowledge and all the wisdom that we've gained over the years and all the direct experience that we've had with cancer and cancer patients, coming from someone that doesn't have the breadth of knowledge that we carry, to say that we're making unwise choices. So first of all, the immediate kind of reaction that wants to come out is that, screw you, we know what's best for us. And that's true, that we do know what's best for us in our own bodies. And one of the best things that one of our really amazing, he's like the dude in naturopathic oncology, that's a natural medicine cancer doctor. One of the first things that he said to Valerie, my wife, is, you know your body better than I do. I'm just here to offer, things that might benefit, that have shown that a benefit in an alternative way. But you, at the very end of the game, you know what's best for your body. And that's a whole lot different than the old way of the doctor saying, I know what's best and you better do what I'm doing, what I'm telling you to do, or you're going to die. And so to get that kind of stuff from our family, that we would hope that we'd get some kind of support no matter what we did. I know that part of this is based out of their own fear. If you know my wife, she is the brightest light. And I would say she's the brightest light in her family and the brightest light in my life. So to see someone going through something like this, our fears start to come up and start to come out in ways that, we want to do whatever it can to determine that nothing bad will happen to her, that she won't die. Well, the unfortunate thing is that we're all dying and we all kill ourselves in different ways. But when it comes to cancer and things like that, it's addressed in a much different way, that we need to get the pill or get the surgery or get the thing that takes care of it right away. But that's not how it works. Cancer is created by an emotional conflict that starts in the psyche, and it needs to be healed from the psyche. this is what I understand. The cancer that shows up in the body is the physical representation of the emotional response from the conflict. So even if you irradiate something or use these toxins or cut it out, if you don't deal with the part in the psyche that created the initial response or the reaction, it's going to come back. And so, oh my gosh, there's so much more I want to share with you, but I'm going to do my best to stay on track here. The problem with our friends and family offering their advice that tries to lean us away from alternative methods is a couple things. It takes a lot of, well, first of all, belief in something goes a long way. And, you could say it's a placebo, or that, somehow someone miraculously was cured. Well, it was probably partly to their understanding and their belief about that. And that's no small thing. So we're already dealing with it. We need to stay in our belief. We need to keep things in line with what we know to be true. And we're not going to watch any crappy violence, TVs or news or anything that takes us off that track. So we've got to do our best to stay healthy, eat healthy, drink healthy, and do our best on that. And then crap comes in from our well-meaning friends or family, and it just throws us off track. And what had happened recently is that, panic set in, stress, anxiety, and depression sets in. And that does not help the healing process. So if you're one of those people that are just really trying to get your relative or your friend to go into normal allopathic methods, think about what you're actually doing with them, that you're causing more stress and more panic and more anxiety, where that is not helping them. So I want to say that as strong as I can, because that's what's happening in our own life. So we put our own fears on the other person, when in reality, we're all going to die of something. And cancer is pretty prevalent in a lot of people. And there's so many different reasons for it. The environment, the food that we eat, the processed food, the EMFs, and all those things play a part in it. But a big, huge part of it is our emotional health and the traumas that we've experienced in the past. And what I'll get to more about the solution to this in the end, but I really want to share how deeply this affects people. That when you're on a path of alternative healing that feels really good to you, and you have data and statistics to back you up that this is something that you want to pursue. This is not just praying to the gods or dancing in circles 3 times, that kind of thing. It's really profound, grounded research in science, but not supported by the mainstream. So that's why there's this disconnect. Again, you are the expert in your body more than anyone. If you're going through this and you're pursuing alternative methods, you are the expert in your body. You're the one that's needed to get more in tune and communication with your body, how your body feels, what's going on with it, how different foods and different things affect your body, and how to cleanse your body, and all those kind of things, which gets you more empowered in your own body. So for someone else to come in and say that they know better than you, it does not matter if they have a medical degree. It does not matter if they're helping to medically to work with cancer patients. They don't know what you know. And if they're, to be honest, if they're a medical doctor that's working with cancer patients, and then they're only in the mainstream, their knowledge of cancer and how it affects the body and how things affect cancer is limited from their education, unless they've kind of opened up their scope into more modalities and different forms of healing. So that's a real critical thing to realize, that you are actually the expert in this, especially if you're really going out there and checking out things. You have direct access to your body. If you're in a place like Sedona, you're in a place that is highly conducive to healing and alternative methods and therapies. And so you probably got a team, like my wife, she's got a team of experts. She's got the best surgeons. She's got the best, oncologist. She's got the best local doctor. She got all these things. She's got access to all these different techniques. And she has gone out there and felt which one feels the best to her, which one feels the best in shrinking the tumor and which one doesn't. And she's always kind of looking at these different ones, and she's narrowed it down to these ones that really feel good to her. The hard part is that you got to really stick with it, that there's a healing process going on, that the medical establishment and normal mainstream doctors want to just get you in there and take care of it through the knife or through some chemicals. But what the healing process is doing in the body, it takes some time to take care of. And we've got to support that by the healthy habits and that kind of thing. But usually we don't have time for that. We don't have the patience for that. And at the same time, we're getting all this input that's kind of sabotaging that way to do that. So if you're one of those persons, stick with what you know to be true. And I want to kind of deepen this into what's really happening, or a different view of what's happening. So on the outside, on one end of it, on the egoic side of things, strictly like a 3D perspective, they're pissing you off and they're frustrating you, and you feel weak and you feel depressed and you feel like you don't know if this is the right thing. You thought it was the right thing, but now you're feeling like you're questioning yourself. That's what's happening. Now, there's something else happening here, because a lot of times when people are working with cancer, they're the kind of people that Dr. Gabor Mate would say they're a C-type personality, where they've been helping other people and taking care of other people and not really taking care of themselves, either health-wise or emotion-wise. And now that cancer has come into their life, now they have the reason to really take care of themselves. So those kind of people are sometimes the people that don't speak up for themselves, and they're not heard, and their truth isn't really heard. And so they'll attract, back their family, who has gotten so used to telling them what's what, and you need to do this, and this is right, and what you're doing is wrong, and all that kind of stuff. So what's going on here partly is that there's an opportunity here for that person to speak up for what they feel is right. So cancer aside, cancer has been the catalyst for someone to change their pattern. So that's something to really think about, pray about, meditate on, that there's something deeper about here. So what we normally focus on when we go to a regular doctor is, can the tumor be shrunk? And so there's data and markers and those kind of things to see if the cancer has shrunk. And if it hasn't, then they'll use a different method. But that's that's normal kind of medical process to look at those markers and see if something is working or not. But this alternative way is not really looking at the markers, or there should be more to it. So consider the idea that the process is, the main goal is not necessarily to shrink the tumor. That the main process should be to heal the original cause of the tumor. Wouldn't that be something that we focused on? Okay, this is the result, or this is the symptom of something being out of alignment in the body, or some kind of trauma, some kind of conflict happened. Cancer is the result of that, and it's not an attack. It's just a response of things not being in balance in the body. For instance, the milk duct, when there's a conflict with separation, the milk ducts start to open up, and the cell tissue starts to shrink. I hope I'm getting this right. And what cancer does, it goes in and refills the cells, which turns, because that switch has been left on, because the original trauma or conflict hasn't been resolved, then it's like an ongoing water pipe that's been running, and it'll build up into a mass, and that's the tumor. So the cancer is just doing what it knows best. This is my understanding about it. So kind of lost my track here, kind of got off track. I'll go back to my notes. Yeah, so if the only goal is to shrink the tumor, then we miss the point. We miss what's really going on here. So possibly what could be going on here is There was an original trauma or conflict that happened that was never fully resolved, which caused the cancer. And what's also going on in the meantime, in the healing process, is that there's friends or family that are pushing their agenda on you, and you haven't been used to speaking your truth against them. And you feel like it's not your place, or who am I to say something here? And this is exactly what needs to be done. Now, let's take it even higher and say that those people that are kind of being in a pain in your ass right now of trying to push their agenda on you are actually for you. That these people are fulfilling a role, just like a narcissist and a person that hasn't been speaking their truth. A narcissist will cause that person to stomp their foot down, hopefully, and finally speak their truth and show them who they are. So in the realm of unity consciousness, looking through God's eyes, everyone is here to love and support you. So what are those friends and family doing for you? Well, hopefully they're causing you to shift an old negative pattern or limiting belief about yourself that caused you to shift what caused the original trauma in the first place, so that they're actually the catalyst in you becoming a new version of yourself, which, by the way, is associated with healing the cancer. So we focus so much on getting rid of the cancer, killing the cancer, fighting the cancer, shrinking the tumor, but more emphasis could be stretched over to the original cause. Let's see here. What else I got? So if you've ever spoken with someone with cancer, they usually tell you how they've never really taken care of or loved themselves in a way that puts themselves first in a healthy way. So for the family, the system of mainstream medicine is driven by big pharma. There is so much to learn. It can be overwhelming, but most of it is legitimate, although ridiculed if it doesn't fit the mold. So for the family that you want your family member or your partner, somebody to go with what the regular doctor is saying, you have an invitation to do some research, to expand your scope of knowledge on what happens beyond what you're being shown in the media and news and movies, that there's actually other healing happening that is not going to make the news. So this is your invitation to really show love to that person by engaging in your own education. And one of the things that you could say to the person that's experiencing this cancer is, how can I support you? And how do you want to heal? How can I support that? Wow, imagine the healing that would happen. Imagine if you were the really supportive, loving person that says, whatever you want to do, I'm completely for you. In fact, I'll go investigate more of it for you. Wow, that would be amazing. You'd actually have a role in their own healing instead of being a role in their not healing. So if this isn't something for you, that you don't want to go and do that kind of research, that you just want to bark your orders and you want to just share what you think that they should do, then you have no support. You have no place in the support of your loved one who wants to live and not suffer any additional pain. You have no place there unless you are fully supporting them. It's not you come in and you just ply your agenda to them. That's not acceptable. So, and if there's also another feeling that this person who's going with these alternative therapies is being deceived and they're going all this crazy stuff, that's not what we do. We do our research and we know much more about this and about our bodies than a lot of people. Just because we're involved in things that kind of accept and embrace and look at everything doesn't mean that we accept everything. It's just that we want to look at everything. So we've really opened up ourselves up to that. So I want to give you some resources to look at. One is Dr. Brzezinski. So Dr. Brzezinski, for decades, has been helping people cure cancer. And I know I'm not supposed to say that because the mainstream media doesn't allow anyone to say cure cancer, but he's really been at the forefront of this and doing these alternative methods. And so much so that he's pissed off the medical establishment, and they tried to take away his license numerous times and taken him into court, even though he's got documented cases of healing cancer, all types of cancer. So there's one. And then Dr. Gabor Mate, Gabor, and the last name is Mate. Good book to read is When the Body Says No. And he's talking about when there's a life-threatening illness or a chronic illness, we need to look at the childhood trauma as the original cause. There's also the work of Louise Hay, which maybe you've heard of, a little book and other books, one of them called Heal Your Body. Another big book called, I don't know if it can show up on the screen. There we go. Metaphysical Anatomy. It's a huge book, goes into cancer and other illnesses. She and others have done all kinds of research over the decades of therapy work to find the emotional piece behind all these different illnesses. And then I spoke of before Germanic or German New Medicine, which is this Dr. Hammer, Hamer, and he's the one that's correlating the different types of cancer with the different parts of the brain. Amazing stuff, how they've tracked it down to the type of breast cancer, the side of the body, what that means and all that, just amazing. When you get information that really shows you the emotional piece and the conditions that cause the illness, it really opens you up and it really makes you feel a lot better about your own healing. And when people feel better and feel more empowered, they start to heal. Another movie is called Heal. It's an independent film about different techniques of healing. And there's just all kinds of really cool experiments and scientists and researchers that have done great work in that area. So for you that are going through something like this, where your well-meaning friends or family are getting frustrated with you, and they're getting impatient, and maybe they don't talk about it with you because they're scared of saying something wrong or pushing your button. Those people are causing you as they're catalysts in your life to cause you to show up in a different way in your own life. So it's kind of like they're really not in front of you, but their soul, their higher self is causing you to stomp your foot down and really take command of your own life and your body in a bigger way. So it's kind of like this, where when I was teaching martial arts, I had this belief that if I wasn't physically, personally blessed by a Korean master from Korea, that I wasn't qualified. And it really played on me. And what happened was I would start to attract people that would say, oh, did you have a Korean master and stuff like this? And an amazing grandmaster that taught me, but he wasn't Korean. So when people say, did you have a Korean master? Then I get this doubt in my mind. Oh my gosh, am I doing the right thing? Am I a poser? Am I have, what's that called when you, your imposter syndrome, stuff like that? I would question what I was doing. And then I'd realize it was in my heart. What I was doing was in my heart, and I was qualified. And the martial arts that I was doing, I was qualified in doing. I had a black belt. So once I did that, I never attracted another person that would question that. So that's what I'm saying, is that we'll start to attract those people as long as we keep on questioning ourselves. And what those family members are doing in a roundabout way, in a kind of obscure way, is they're causing us to be more strong in the knowing that we should have. So we start off in some kind of belief that, maybe this is good for me. I'm going to try this and see how it works. And if it doesn't work, then we're going to try something else. And we start going down this path, and we don't see instant results like maybe chemotherapy or radiation or surgery promises. And we start doubting ourselves. Well, what we're being asked to do is to stand really firm in the knowing that our body has the intelligence inside of itself to heal itself. And we need to stand in that and kind of get out of the way of that. So I think that's all I got. I think that was a long one. Yeah. I hope that helps. I hope it didn't go too far off the different sides, but I guess that's what happens when I get passionate about something. Thank you very much. Bless you. I love you. And I hope you never, ever have to deal with this in your life.